is keeping you stuck? What's keeping you from being happy? What's keeping you from living your best life? Well, if you're like most people, you're dealing with regret, guilt, and shame. I have a lot of deep regret. I regret having affairs um, on my husband, not being a good enough mother to my handicapped son. Um, I have a lot of shame in fighting with my husband, um, just being unfaithful, and a lot of other things. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about regret, guilt, and shame, and how we can overcome that to live a much happier and fulfilling life. Hi, I'm Sandra Wyllie, and this is my mental health channel. And here I talk about my own personal struggles having borderline personality disorder, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety and depression. I talk about narcissism and my narcissistic mother. I talk about schizophrenia, and I wrote a childhood memoir, Life with My Schizophrenic Father. I also talk about my unethical psychologist whom I've had sexual relationships with. I come on as a patient advocate trying to help other people going through similar life experiences, try to motivate and inspire people with my videos. But I only come on as a former patient of almost 20 years. I am not a licensed therapist. I do not hold a degree in psychology, so I cannot diagnose you. And all I ask in turn of you is your kindness and respect in the comments. Now, most people are dealing with regret, guilt, and shame. It's what's keeping you stuck. It is what has kept me stuck for many, many years. It's what's robbed me of my happiness. I felt very guilty having affairs. I had several affairs while I was married. My son saw this. I wasn't the best mother. I felt ashamed that I was, sleeping with my psychologist. I had another psychologist tell me that it was perfectly normal for me to do this when it wasn't. I found out later that it wasn't normal. Dr. Richard Geist encouraged me to have sex with Dr. James Barbaria. He said plenty of patients have sex with their psychologists. They even go on and marry them. So I had this fantasy. I lived in a fantasy world. I had this fantasy that I was going to leave my husband and go off and marry my divorce psychologist and live in his $1 million condo on the hill. I had this fantasy I was going to be a famous writer, a famous poet like Emily Dickinson, like Anne Sexton, like Sylvia Plath. I had this fantasy that I was going to be famous, that all my books were going to be bestsellers on the New York best-selling list, that I was going to be in bookstores autographing copies, and I failed, and all my books failed. My YouTube channel has failed. I became an alcoholic. My son has seen me passed out on the couch drunk after I had a big fight with my psychologist who I was having sex with. He'd see his mother passed out in the middle of the day drunk. I didn't do that often, but I remember one time vividly during a snowstorm. It was a severe snowstorm. Everything was closed, but the liquor store was always open. Notice that. Even during COVID, when everything was closed. Now, I know you had to keep the supermarkets open because people needed to eat. But isn't it ironic that everything was closed, except for the grocery stores because people need to eat, but the liquor stores were open? People don't need to drink. Drinking alcohol is not a necessity for life, for sustaining life. In fact, drinking alcohol can cause you health problems. It says right on the bottle, causes health problems. So but that remained open. And it was a vivid, the roads, no one was on the roads. The governor came on and said, stay off the roads because, they were all ice. And I, skated and skid. I was the only one on the road. If there was another car on the road, there would have been a major accident because I was sliding all over the place. I had no control over my car. I drove to the liquor store like that. There wasn't one car on the road. Went in and bought the vodka, bought, what's that? That melon ball liqueur, Midori for, what is that drink I made? I mixed vodka and Midori. And I couldn't even pull out of the parking lot. I had to have a group of men from the, I guess they worked in the bar, the liquor store, push my car out because it was that bad. And then I came home and I made drinks and a melon ball. That's what the cocktail was. Vodka and Midori, melon ball. And I just passed out on the couch like at 1 or 2 in the afternoon. So sure, I have a lot of regrets. You know, I have a lot of shame and a lot of guilt. My son shouldn't have seen that. He shouldn't have seen his mother drunk, passed out in the middle of the day. He shouldn't have seen his mother every Saturday night. I get him, my psychologist would come and pick me up at my house at 5 o'clock sharp. And my son would say, where are you going with your psychologist, Mom? Why are you going out with your psychologist? And I'd get in his, you know, black convertible sports car and we zoom away. And then he introduced me to vodka. That's how I turned into an alcoholic. Never went to a bar, never drank any vodka. I never drank vodka until I met Dr. James Barbaria. He introduced me to vodka, introduced me to bars. We'd have sex. I'd get drunk. I'd be drinking while having sex. He'd put the liqueur, anisette liqueur, on the nightstand right beside the bed, and we'd be drinking that and having sex. And, you know, I felt responsible. I felt shamed. I felt an embarrassment to my family. It was horrible, all these feelings. And even now I feel, you know, besides having regret that I was a horrible mother and a horrible wife, and I have heavy, heavy guilt over that. I feel guilty because my husband, he lost his job almost 3 months ago. He's been out of work, and I don't work. I work 7 days a week, but I don't get paid. I don't have a paying job. I do these videos 7 days a week, but I get no money because me and my husband figured out in order to get paid $100 a month, YouTube only pays you once a month. And you have to have a minimum of $100. Last month I had like $99 and I was $1 short. I would not get paid. They will not pay you unless you have $100. In order for me to get paid $100 a month, doing videos 7 days a week, I'd have to have 3,400 views each video, 3,400 on every single video for me to get paid $100 for the whole month. For 30 videos that are like 20 minutes long. Not to mention all the work that goes on behind the editing, you know, the marketing and all that. 3,400 views every single video. Most of my videos don't even get 100 views. Okay? Someone else would have left this and got a job. They would say, your YouTube is down the drain. You're getting nothing. Your husband's out of work. There's no income here. I don't know how we're going to have food on the table. I really don't. I put out about buy me a cup of coffee. And no one buys me 1 cup of coffee for $1. Nobody. You know, he wants me to get a job, a real job, where I get money, where I'm actually getting, you know, validated. I do work, I get paid. Here, I do work, I don't get paid. I get nothing. And, you know, he's very unhappy about this. I feel guilty that I keep pursuing my dream. I guess I'm a big dreamer. I keep thinking, one of these days, one of these videos will go viral, and then I'll get, you know, maybe more subscribers and more views. If I put enough energy, you know, if I keep showing up every day, 7 days a week, on holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, on Mother's Day, if I keep trying and trying, but nothing is working. And I know I should go out there and I should get a conventional job. You know, I don't have a bachelor degree. I only have 2 years at a community college. But I could still work in CVS for minimum wage. I could still get a minimum wage job or do something like, you know, um, but then I would, I'd have to give up my YouTube because I wouldn't be able to. I work on my YouTube like 7, 8 hours a day, marketing, editing, coming up with new material. Um, it's a lot more than the 20-minute video you see right before you. I do heavy, heavy marketing. I spend hours just marketing the video. So it gets out to the masses so people will see it. If I didn't market it, I'd probably have like maybe 3 or 4 views, Instead, I get maybe close to 100. Sometimes I get a couple of 100 views. I just get lucky on those days. But what I'm saying is I feel deep, guilt. I feel guilt for not doing that, especially when my husband isn't working. I'm pursuing a dream um, that's getting me nowhere. That's doing nothing for me. That's not bringing any income. It's not helping my family what I'm doing, and I feel very guilty. But it's the only thing that keeps me going. I'm still drinking very heavy. I'm very unhappy. I'm trying to pursue, giving my books away for 99 cents. You know how many people bought the book Sexually Exploited by 3 Psychologists? I put it on Kindle for 99 cents. Guess how many people bought it? 99 cents for 169 pages. One person. One person. I would have given it away for free, but Kindle will not allow that. And that's who I go by. It says you have to have a minimum of 99 cents to be able to sell this book. So people don't even want it for 99 cents. So that's how unlucky I am. It's just crazy. But I feel very guilty for that. I see other people who are my age or older. I see this one woman named Holly. She's 65 years old. She does like a few videos a week, maybe like 3 on average. She gets thousands and thousands of dollars every month. One month she said she made $5,000. $5,000. I can't even make $5 a month. She made $5,000. It's like, oh my God. I mean, I don't even get paid at all every month, and she made $5,000. I look at her channel and I see, what is she doing that I'm not doing? I even watch her videos, and and she gets hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views. That's why she's making all the money. I don't get any views. And so I feel, jealous. I feel all those horrible negative feelings: jealousy, shame, regret, guilt, and what am I going to do about all this, So I say all I can do is just forgive myself for what I've done in the past. I can't change the past. I can't change the fact I cheated on my husband, that I had sex with my psychologist, that I wasn't a good mother for my son. I wasn't a good role model for my son, seeing me passed out drunk on the couch, seeing me drive in a blizzard where you're not supposed to be on the roads just to get alcohol. Having my psychologist pick me up every night and going to the bars and getting drunk and having sex with him. Keeping up, what do you call it? A pipe dream. You ever know what? It's a pipe dream. My YouTube channel is a pipe dream. For me, it is. Anyway, keeping that up when I could be out there making real money on a real job because my husband isn't working. We have no income right now. We're in dire straits. And I still keep this pipe dream of hopefully one day I'll end up like Holly and be able to get $5,000 every month on my YouTube, that I will get the subscribers. But, I just have to forgive myself for what I've done in the past and just accept who I am as a person. I am not, a perfect person. I don't think anyone is a perfect person, and I am far from a perfect person. I am a deeply flawed person, and I have to learn to be able to love myself and forgive myself for being deeply flawed. First of all, I can't do anything about the regret in the past. All I can do is be a better mother now. I don't cheat on my husband. I don't look at other men. I don't talk to other men. I don't flirt with other men. I don't talk at all to other men online or anything. What I do is just my videos and my books. That's the only thing I do online, videos and books. I go out for walks in nature, to Audubon sanctuaries where, there's boardwalks and ponds and herons and turtles. And I do that. I go to the library and read. And that's what I do for recreation. The other time, all the other time I spend with my family, my husband and son. So, and I'm trying to be a good listener to my sons and be there and present with them, set a good example for them. So all I can do is forgive what I did in the past and just concentrate on the present. I mean, we forgive other people, right? I have forgiven other people. I have forgiven my cousin. I did a whole video about my cousin. Okay, he was on American's Greed, that TV show American's Greed. And so you could check that video out. I don't want to talk about what my cousin did to me, but he did a horrific thing at a very low point in my life. Very horrible, horrible tragedy. Very horrible what he did. But I forgave him. So if I can forgive my cousin for what he did, then I can learn to forgive myself for all the terrible things that I regret, that I did, for not being a good mother, for cheating on my husband, for not setting a good example for my son. I have to learn how to forgive myself and let go of, well, I can't change that, I don't go to therapy anymore, almost 4 years. August, I think, or July or August. This summer will be 4 years since 2021. It's 2025. The summer of 2021. It'll be 4 years with no therapy. The deepest regret of my life was going to therapy. Therapy ruined my life. Completely ruined it. I can't take that back, but I can learn from that and not go to any more therapists, so I won't be harmed, right? I'm very, very, I had no boundaries before. Now I have very high boundaries. I'm very, very cautious who I let in my life. I won't just let anyone. I was a big people pleaser before. I learned the hard way. People have hurt me very deeply, and I'm not a people pleaser anymore. I have very high walls. So I've learned from my past. I had to let go of my past. And how did I let go of my past? I let go by forgiving myself. Like I said, if I can forgive other people for the harm they caused me, then I need to forgive myself for the harm I caused other people. And so I'm learning forgiveness, self-forgiveness. I'm learning to work on myself, not feel ashamed. I'm trying to do things that aren't shameful to me. I'm trying to be more productive with my time. I'm really going all out on my YouTube channel and my books. And, will I at some point, discontinue this because it's not being productive? It's a pipe dream. And get a conventional job? Well, it might boil down to I might need to do that because my husband is out of work now. And unless he finds a job, I need to make money. I just can't, I need to bring in some income. I'm not doing that. So I can work on that. I can work on that and examine that and try my best. But if you're dealing with these things like regret, guilt, and shame, just learn to forgive yourself, to love yourself, warts and all. Love yourself. You're not a perfect human. I'm not a perfect human. We can only do our best with what we know, right? With what we have. Other people, might have had, I've come from a very traumatic background. I mean, I've written about it. I talked about it in other videos. Other people might not have come from that kind of background. So they're not dealing with the same things that you and me are dealing with, right? So it's a little bit different, you know. Just learn self-acceptance. That's what I think I've learned in my old age. Self-acceptance. I have to accept who I am as a person. I have to learn to forgive myself for my past mistakes. Don't hold on to your past mistakes. Let them go. Say, I forgive myself. I was a different person back then. I'm not that same person now. I'm not going to cheat on my husband now. I'm not going to get passed out drunk on the couch. I haven't gotten drunk. I am going to be more patient and understanding. I'm not going to fight with my husband. And if I need to find a job because my YouTube's not bringing in any money, then I will look for a job to try to support my family. And, you know, that's all I can do. And learn to forgive and learn to accept yourself. We accept other people with all their flaws. Then why don't we accept ourselves with all of our flaws? If you can do it for someone else, if you can love someone else with all their flaws and forgive them for all, you know, their faults, then why can't you do it for you? That's what I ask myself. If I can do it for someone else, why can't I do it for me, myself? So I hope that this video has taught you more about, you know, forgiveness of yourself, for acceptance of yourself, for letting go of the past because you can't change it anyway, and just working on the stuff that you have in front of you right now, working on what you have right now in the present moment, and just trying to be a better version of you, not a better version of someone else, like someone else who has a YouTube channel. I try to be a better version of the me I was yesterday, last month, last year. Let me be a better version of myself, not someone else. You know, take those jealousies is never helpful. The green-eyed monster is never gonna help me. I only should compare myself to my past self, to my yesterday self, and try to work on my today self so I can have a better tomorrow self. See, it all comes down to self. If you're interested in any of these books, I mean, I have 1.99 on the Kindle. The link to all these books are down below in the description. If you would like to support my channel, you can even buy me a cup of coffee. I think it's as little as $1. I don't think you have to spend a lot of money on it. That link is down below too. If you'd like to email me, I'd love to hear from you. And my email address is Leann, LEEANN827@hotmail.com. And that is linked down below too. If you are new to my channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please hit that subscribe button in the lower right hand corner. That way you'll be notified each and every time a new video of mine comes out. Stick around, take a chance, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, your family on your social media. It's 100% free. So what do you got to lose, right? Until next time, take care.